Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the In Between the Stitches podcast. I am your host, Brady Wilson, with my co-host, Chase Olschwanger.
Last one of the semester.
Yeah, this will probably be the last one of the semester, depending on the summer availability of the studio. Don't want to try to do a remote one with us. Don't want to try to do one at my house. The equipment's just not as good as the equipment here. So I if we're both here or just one of us is here and we feel like, okay, some time has passed to where an episode is something that we should probably do. Definitely on the trade deadline for baseball, probably on the All-Star break. So maybe get like 2 in July. We may get a bunch in July just to kind of recap everything. But we will start our last episode of the semester again. Hope everyone's finals have gone well or are about to go well as finals week's almost over. Forgive me for my lack of maybe knowledge of the teams outside of my teams, simply because I've been studying for finals. I go straight from crash coursing draft prep to crash coursing schoolwork. Sorry, family. And and so, I lose this time of the year where, if something happens, it may get buried, unless it happened like yesterday. But I'll tell you what didn't get buried in my head was the Game 7 of the Dallas Stars Colorado Avalanche series. Great game. Obviously, not if you are a Colorado fan. Not a great game, but for the Dallas Stars, it was a fantastic game.
Just third period.
Yeah, but here's the thing: I don't care what period happened; it still feels great.
Oh yeah, it feels awesome.
Colorado goes up 1-0 in the second, and then McKinnon buries one very early in the third period, and you're just thinking, well, just tie it. I don't need you to, eat the whole elephant, so to speak, here. Just tie the game. You've already beat him twice in overtime. Tie the game. Rantanen, he's weaving in and out of defenders, and he gets just a beautiful centering shot and buries it to the right of Mackenzie Blackwood. I get Blackwell and Blackwood mixed up, so if I say it, I'm sorry.
Blackwell's on our team.
I know that, but it's like everything is the same except for the L and the ud.
Right.
So I get the two mixed up. Buries to the right of Mackenzie Blackwood, and you're down 2-1, thinking, okay, cool. And they did that fairly early after the McKinnon goal. I think it's still like 12 minutes left. I'm thinking, cool. You got 12 minutes to score one goal.
Right.
We can do that. And then Rantanen does it again. He skates through 3 defenders. Now, thankfully, one of them had their back turned to him. I don't know how that happened. Skates through him, wraps around the goal, and gets a lucky bounce off of the skate of, I cannot remember who it was.
One of the defensemen.
It was one of the defensemen for Colorado. Just was right there, and he just, bing, just right off his skate into the goal. Still a great goal. When he does that, his skate is on the board, right? Like he is on the board behind Blackwood did it again. So he's not even like on the ice. He's like Supermaning off of this thing to do. It was just a fantastic goal. And now you're tied. Now you're thinking, cool, I would love to win it right now, but we accomplished what I was hoping we would.
Right.
And then you get a power play. And for anyone wondering, yes, that was a penalty. He tackled Tyler Seguin.
Yeah.
I think it was Drury.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, literally picked him up and
it was the other guy that was in the Rantanen trade, ironically for Colorado. It was Nietzsche, and I think it was Drury. Tackles him I would classify it as a football in football terms. It was a hip drop tackle, which is outlawed in football now. They don't call it, but it is. He wraps him and then he drops his hip to take out Seguin, and people were clamoring that's not a penalty back in the day. Well, I don't care back in the day.
Or now.
Back in the day, they probably didn't wear helmets, but now we do. So guess what? Now that's a penalty. So I don't care what it was back in the day. That's a penalty. You can't tackle him when he's not. You can't tackle him. No, like he pulls him down.
Yeah.
And you get the power play, and then a beautiful.
My God, did they convert on that power play immediately? They get it set up.
It was gorgeous. It was their typical trying to keep it on the boundary, but get the goalie moving east-west, right?
Yeah.
Rantanen has it, and if you watch Duchesne, when Rantanen gets it again, Duchesne skates off to the side. He just drifts. He doesn't do it forcefully. He drifts, so they don't see him. Right to Duchesne, and the defenseman almost got his stick on that pass to Johnston, but it was just enough on it to get to Johnston, and he had just the most gorgeous angle for a shot.
It was actually a tough angle if you look back at the replay. It was a tough angle.
I don't mean I don't mean like it was like it was set up perfectly. I mean like the look of it was just gorgeous because of how sharp the angle was.
It was exactly what the Stars were trying to develop, and they got a wide open shot with Johnston. Granted, it was a tough shot still.
Yeah,
but Johnston was able to bury it. That's why they're professionals. He was able to bury it, and then from there, three unanswered goals. You got all the momentum.
He's barely a professional. He's 21.
What am I doing with my life?
Yeah, I think you're 21.
23.
You're wrong. So Chase is 2 years older than Wyatt Johnston. That's crazy.
What am I doing?
I feel like I'm about to have that the next couple of years where I'm looking at these guys. When I was doing the draft work, Harold Fannin from Bowling Green was born 2 days before I was.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I'm going, what am I doing?
He's in the NFL.
Yeah, he's about to be in the NFL, and I'm sitting here. Like, what am I doing? Yeah, he was born 2 days before I was. That was kind of trippy to see. But anyway, back to the Stars. You're right. All the momentum is completely in Dallas's favor, and you're in your home arena, and it's buzzing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is a playoff. It is awesome. And then you get to Rantanen, just empty nets, just buries it, and the roof came off of the American Airlines Center.
The most cinematic thing about that goal, the hat-trick goal, was some people already throwing their hats onto the ice before we even put the puck in the back of the net.
And then did you hear the Colorado radio announcer?
I think was it like not a lot of emotion or something?
No, yeah, it was like, and he scores.
Yeah,
and then,
I heard that. Yeah,
and then so that went viral on like Twitter and TikTok in like Dallas Star Spaces, and another thing that went viral was like he was complaining about a fan threw a beer, and he was like, you would have thought that somebody had burned the American flag in the middle of the ice.
It was clear.
I get throwing a beer is wrong, and you shouldn't do that because it's dangerous. But like he was like, oh my gosh, it's staining the ice. Now they're having to come scrape it off.
There's 2 seconds left.
That fan should be banned from every sporting event for life. And I'm like, dang, dude. Like, he got excited. And somebody joked how much you want to bet it was a Colorado fan that threw it.
May have been, but no. I mean, clearly the commentator was obviously,
coping
that they are eliminated and that Mikko Rantanen ended their season when they had him earlier in the same season. So,
and seeing all the people that are trying to, again, still just double down. Rantanen did not want out. If Colorado had went to him and said, Mikko, we're going to pay you $8 for 96, what we just gave him, right? Here's what we're going to give you. If you don't take this contract, we're going to try to trade you. We're telling you this to give you the opportunity. How much do you want to be here? And if he said, I don't want to take that contract offer, then that's on Mikko because he didn't take the offer, right? He didn't take a reasonable offer.
Situation sounds a little bit familiar.
Moving on. And then Carolina wondered, well, why didn't he want to sign here? Well, he didn't want to be there. He got traded there. You just assumed, oh, he'll love it here. I get you having pride in your city, but like, you can't just expect. Unfortunately, you're Carolina. It's one of the benefits I love about being a Dallas sports fan. We are a nice city, and people typically, a lot of players like to be here. Like a lot of players live here once they retire, just because it's like Dirk. The guys, people live here. It's a nice city. Not disparaging Carolina, but it's just a bit arrogant to think, well,
no income state tax. I mean, that's
it's just a bit arrogant to assume, well, he'll just want to be here because it's awesome. But Colorado fans dogging, Rantanen, I don't understand it really. I understand you being pissed that he got traded, but don't project that on him. Project it on your front office for trading him. Blame them. Don't blame him. He didn't want out. He wanted to stay. They didn't do that to him. They did it under the cover of darkness. Sounds like somebody else we know.
And not in Carolina, not to mention, they got a haul for him. I mean, they got Stankoven, who, not to mention, they're still playing right now. They are up 1-0 in the series. I believe they won the first game.
Yeah.
They are still playing. They are a good team, and they got 4 first-round picks and a future star in Stankoven, you'd think. So, I mean, it's not like they didn't get anything for him,
Well, yeah, and that's the thing is
they can't be too mad.
And the Avs got, I believe it was Jack Drury, and I know Marty Nietzsche. So they got 2 really impact players for them. But Avs fans are really having to They're really gonna have to look at themselves, and the team's gonna look at themselves and figure it out, because this was supposed to be their year, right? Especially with Landeskog coming back, right? This was supposed to be, they, pun intended here, it just snowballs into another Stanley Cup for them. They got Brock Nelson. They went out and got all these players to pair with McKinnon and Makar. They got a new goalie tandem that played fairly well going down the stretch, just did not play out particularly well in the playoffs. And you lose to your chief rival. This is the biggest rivalry for the Stars and the Avalanche, is each other. And you lose to them in the first round. When people are saying, well, they should have won. Well, yeah, we got 2 overtime wins, but guess what? We won. I don't care if we take 4 shots all series and all 4 of them are overtime winners, that we move on and you don't. That's all that matters to me. So now we got the Stars facing Winnipeg last night. 1-0. We're up. I love it. What do you think?
They found a way to win game 1. And, they
held on.
The last time, yeah, they did. They held on, but they fought. They fought back. And, we haven't won a game 1 since, 2020 Stanley Cup playoffs?
Yes. It was
the Stanley Cup.
It was against Tampa Bay, yeah.
So you hope the series doesn't result the same way that it did the last time they won a game 1 and not winning the series.
Well, to be fair, there were times where they didn't win a game 1, like last year at Edmonton. They lost that series, right. So it all can't.
And the superstition is whatever. You can think about whatever.
I know.
But no, it's you don't want to say, oh, I'd rather lose game 1 because Stars are better when they win game 2 instead. No, you want to win every game you can. And they played very well. Ranson, another hat trick. Is it safe to say that he's right now is the best player in the world?
He's playing like it.
I mean, this is what they got him for.
Was the playoffs.
And he is there's no describing it. He is playing like the best player in the world. And when he's on your team, it is a very fun thing to watch.
Look, we know, and we knew when we made the trade, and we were all saying this, and I know I was saying this. Look, a big chunk of the reason that we traded for this guy was not regular season. We already have a really good regular season team.
Right.
We're trading for this guy because when the Stanley Cup playoffs roll around, this guy just goes to another level. And we're seeing that back-to-back hat trick games. This one, do you call it a natural hatter or a natural hat trick?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I want to get the terminology correct. Just 3 absurd goals. One of them, a lucky bounce. The third one was a lucky bounce. The second one was just a beautiful tip. And then the first one was not luck. It was all effort. He has a guy draped on his back and just pokes it in. I mean, it's just insane. That's why we call him the Moose. But he goes for a hat trick. You win 3-2. Ottinger played out of his mind. Mm-hmm. But the defense played really well, too. Getting Robertson back is huge. And hopefully, it's one of those.
Miro's right there.
You would actually love, if you go up 2-0, going back to your building, do you just say, hey, Miro, why don't we keep you off the ice? We don't need you right now. I mean, I'm just saying, like, okay, what if he let me say this. You don't want to rush him. If we go up 2-0.
I don't think they are rushing him.
If we go up 3-0, if we just go out of our mind, you don't need to rush him back. Why bring him back? Why not let him continue to get healthy and rest, and then bring him back for the conference finals if you get there? Now, if Winnipeg wins tomorrow, and maybe they take one in your building, and maybe now it's 2-2. Maybe now you look at, okay, now we definitely want to bring him back because tight series. I'm just saying the thought of how do you want to bring him back? Do you want to bring him back?
I don't think the scenario matters. If they're down 3-1, if they're up 3-1, if it's 2-2, I don't think if it's 3-0, I don't think it matters. I think if he is 100%, they are going to bring him back because he is one of the best defensemen in the world. And you don't want to take any chances, and you bring your best guy back and you try to win these games even more.
We'll see. I mean, if we get Miro back, that just means everybody's healthy on our team. Everybody's healthy.
Yeah, everyone's healthy. It was nice to see Robertson back on the ice. He didn't have a lot of time on ice, and he didn't have a lot of shots on goal. So
I'm not looking for that.
It was nice. It was nice to see him get back in the groove of things, skating with everybody at full speed, taking hits, taking shots. That's what and to find a way to get a win without him producing anything. That's what you want to see.
Here's the thing, Chase. You don't need him to. This is the beautiful part about how we built our roster. We don't need him to go out of his mind to produce.
Right, exactly.
We've got Rope. We've got Rantanen. we've got 3 elite scorers. I don't know how many teams can say that. We've got 3 elite scorers. And then we've got like 3 or 4 other guys.
Johnston, Ben, Sagan, Duchesne. I mean,
that can Dodonov, Granlund. That can just I don't want to say score at will. Did you say Sagan?
Yeah.
But just that are also really solid offensive threats is how I'm going to Marchment. That's how I'm going to classify them. They're not elite offensive players, but they're solid offensive threats.
Yeah.
And you've got like 6 of those guys. Like every one of your forwards has a chance to score every time you get the puck.
Totally agree.
And then you also pair in the fact you've got 3 elite scorers in the league. I mean, it's insane how you don't need Rantanen to take over. I'm glad he is.
He is, but yeah.
But maybe the next game, maybe tomorrow, Hintz takes over. Maybe tomorrow, Granlund takes over. Maybe tomorrow, Robertson. You have so many guys that can just seemingly. We saw Granlund take over the game where he got the overtime. He got the game time goal and the overtime goal. It is so nice.
It is nice to
boast this amount of depth. Hopefully we take game 2 tomorrow. I'd love to steal 2 in Winnipeg, going back home for 2 more.
But they have already done their job in taking 1 of the first 2.
It's one of those situations where, everyone says just take 1, but if you take the first one, you want to take 2.
Of course,
I mean, you want to take 2.
That was that was the exact mentality I've always had, but more, recently it was last year with the Stars and the Mavs, for example. Especially with the Mavs, because the Mavs were mostly on the road. They were on the road every time they started the series. And when the Mavs lost game 1 to OKC, it was like, okay, go back and, let's take 1. Let's take the second. They did. Or did they take game 1? I don't remember what it was. Whatever. They took 1 of the 2. The Clippers, they lost game 1, take game 2. It's just that mentality, like, you want to be able to take 1 and put pressure on the opposing team, knowing that you are going to be tied up at worst heading back to your home arena. And that is the right, mindset you want to have going in. Obviously, the mindset is going in and not losing any of these games. But to take 1, that's what you want to have as a team. Put the pressure on the opposing team.
Just a little update for the rest of the league. Edmonton is up 1-0 over Vegas. They play tonight in Vegas. The Hurricanes are up 1 over the Capitals. They're playing in Washington tonight. And then later on in another series, Toronto's up 2-0 on the defending champion Florida Panthers. And then obviously we're up 1-0 on the Winnipeg Jets. So the playing field shrunk. Teams good teams like Tampa Bay and Colorado and New Jersey just got bounced in the first round. So we'll see what else happens as we move on.
Yeah, go Stars.
Then we got the Dallas Mavericks. It's the offseason. Now we got the Texas Rangers. So we have...
Yeah, might as well just skip right over it. No, I mean, we'll talk about the...
Chase, I defer to my co-host on this.
With the one and only Mavs news is Nico has fired the entire medical staff, which was a good thing. Because if you looked at how the team was last year, everybody was getting hurt. And there was something off. And, I know, these guys that he previously hired and praised didn't have credentials to be an NBA medical staff employee. And now he fires them. So, I mean, he was praising them 2 weeks ago. He fires them all yesterday. It's just a mess. Nothing much about it. But, yeah, whatever, I guess. Whatever. We'll see what happens in the offseason there. I mean, I assume the Mavs are going to be moving somebody and bringing in somebody. I don't know who. It's, you really don't know anymore now. I mean, anybody could be gone. Nobody's job is safe except Anthony Davis's, because that's who Nico brought in. But nobody's time here is safe going into next season. So we just don't know. But going, just the NBA in general now, the playoffs have been really good, but they've been really, really shocking, especially in the Eastern Conference. 2-0 lead for the Pacers, the 4 seed going into number 1 seed Cleveland Cavaliers. Granted, the Cavaliers have been hurt, but still the Pacers have won both in Cleveland. The really surprising one is New York taking both in Boston. And Boston has lost these games by a combined 4 points, and they have missed a combined 75 three-pointers in 2 games. They missed the most threes in the history of a playoff game, in the history of the league ever. They missed 45 threes in game 1 and lost by 3. They missed 30 threes last night and lost by 1. Where was this last year? This is the same Celtics team that it was last year. Why couldn't they have done this last year? But it really is so shocking that the Celtics are just underperforming like crazy. They are not able to find the back of the net and put the ball in. And they are losing these games that they should honestly win by 15 plus. The Celtics, they bring their game around the outside shooting, as we know, and they are not able to convert, and it is showing because when they cannot hit their outside shots, they aren't able to win games. But I still, honestly, a hot take, I still have the Celtics winning this series, even though they're down 2-0, going to New York. I still have the Celtics winning the series in 6 or 7. I think if they could just make shots, these games wouldn't even be close. In the Western Conference, the Nuggets Thunder 1-1 going to Denver. So Denver stole one.
I feel like that's the series everybody wants to watch right now.
Yeah, I mean, the Thunder won by 43 last night after losing game 1 at home. I mean, I think the Thunder still win this series pretty easily, 5 or 6. But Denver did their job. They went in and took one. And then Golden State, Minnesota, a 6 or 7 seed in the second round. A 6 seed is hosting the second round. Last time I can remember that happened was 2 years ago, the Lakers and the Warriors. The Lakers hosted as a 6 seed, or Warriors hosted as a 6 seed. Lakers was a 7. Good series. Steph Curry unfortunately just went down with a hamstring strain. He's going to be out at least a week. So the Warriors they did take game 1. So I don't know if they can survive without him. But it's been an entertaining playoff series, and I'm excited to see how it all results.
Well, that's fun. Again, haven't really been able to follow and watch because I've been working a lot and doing a lot of schoolwork. So hopefully I'm able to watch. A lot of it I'm watching, but I just don't care because the Mavs aren't in it and Luka's not in it anymore. So there's no. Yeah, but my enjoyment of the sport of basketball really took a hit that night. It did, unfortunately, and I know that's not fair to the NBA, but it's like I don't care.
Yeah, it sucks. It really does suck.
Now I move to everyone's favorite team, the Texas Rangers. If you want to watch an offensive juggernaut, don't watch Rangers games because we will not score ourselves. We will also prevent the other team from scoring. Currently 18-19, currently losing 2-0 in Boston. Leiter's pitching fine, but giving up 2 runs, so it's whatever.
Ump has not been in his favor, by the way, this game. I've been keeping an eye on the game, and the ump has not been in Leiter's favor.
Okay, well,
couple balls that have been obvious strikes that have been resulted in the walks, which resulted in the runs.
Look, I mean, the Rangers had a chance last night. Seager got a hold of one from Chapman. I thought it was gone.
Yeah, I did too.
But it didn't get out. People... Look, the Rangers made a change. They did something, and Bruce Bochy did something he has never done in his entire managerial career, and that is fire a coach mid-season. And they hired Brett Boone. And I'm sure a lot of Rangers fans, new Rangers fans, maybe, I don't want to say around our age, Chase, but probably around our age, did all the same thing. Who the hell is Brett Boone? I don't know if you did that. I don't. You probably didn't.
No, I don't, because I know who Aaron Boone is.
Because you know who Aaron Boone is. And Brett was a better player, which is really fun. Imagine being known by your brother, even though you were a significantly better player. I mean, Brett Boone was a 3-time All-Star, 4-time Gold Glove winner, 2-time Silver Slugger, most notably on the 2001 Seattle Mariners that won 116 games. For them that year, he was an All-Star. He hit 331, 47 home runs, led the league with 141 RBIs. Oof. So, I mean, he was third in MVP voting.
But guess what? His brother is the manager of the Yankees, so that automatically gets praise.
But the Boones are a very, very well-known family in baseball history. Obviously, his brother's Aaron Boone. Their dad is Bob Boone, who was a really good catcher for a lot of years. And then their grandfather was Ray Boone, who played 13 years in the MLB from 1948 to 1960. So, I mean, it's a very rich family with baseball. I'm interested to get a new voice in there. How much of an impact is he really going to have? We don't know. Probably won't see it for some time, but hopefully things get better. Hopefully it shows the guys, hey, look, we're trying to change this thing and get right.
Because I still have a lot of faith in this team. I mean, this team.
Oh, very. They have
a great pitching staff.
They're hitting the ball hard.
They are hitting the ball hard. They have a, name-wise, they have a great offense of, a lot of talent from superstars to good hitters to home run hitters to speed to contact guys. They have it all. They just got to put the pieces together and just find a way. It's cliche, but start hitting the ball. I mean, they just got to find a way to start hitting the ball. And
No. Because they're hitting the ball. They got to find a way to get those hits to fall. I think is a better way of saying it. They have to find a way to get those hits to find outfield grass instead of outfield
get
gloves.
guys on base. I'll rephrase. Just find a way to get guys on base.
Get them on. Get them. It's one of the oldest adages in baseball. Get them on. Get them over. Get them in. That's why I love that first game in Boston. We didn't need a home run to do it. You were just getting base hits. You were consistently getting runners over and then knocking them in. It was, that's to me, that's a good offense.
It was funny. It was all the social media, all the Rangers fans and the funny Ranger fans was like, all right, Brett Boone is our savior. It was the first game of him being the hitting coach.
I know he didn't know anyone's name yet, and he's magically. But it was funny. But to me, a team that hits a bunch of home runs, unless you do it so consistently, that's a good offense, but it's not a great one. Even if they hit a lot of home runs, a great offense is one that can get runners on consistently and then get them over consistently and get them in consistently.
For example, the 2023 Rangers.
Exactly. We hit a lot of home runs, but we had a lot of just we overwhelmed teams. We would have 2 or 3 innings where we scored 3 or 4 runs, right at times, and that would be how we win. We didn't win by scoring 1 in like 5 different innings and winning 5-2.
Look, when your leadoff hitter has 100 RBIs, you're doing something right. And
right. We were an offense that once a rally started, it kept going.
Yeah.
Teams had a really hard time stopping the bleeding. If they stopped the bleeding early after just 1 hit, that was fine. Once we got those multiple hits, the offense just kind of got into a complete 1 through 9 rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, I don't think that's the case right now. I don't think they're in a 1 through 9 rhythm. So you got to get that back. But, we're playing 500 ball right now. Hopefully we can continue playing 500 ball and just start finding ways to win more games than we are right now. I'm not worried. It is May 8th. There is no reason to panic. There is no reason to worry. There is no reason to think these guys won't figure it out at some point. If they don't, well, then that's shocking. But I have all the confidence they're going to figure it out. Then around baseball, Tigers are still flaming hot. The Orioles are still freezing cold. The Yankees are the Yankees. The Mets are absolutely just running away with that division right now. I know they're only 2 games ahead, but 24-14. And then my favorite, the Padres are hanging right there with the Dodgers as well as the Giants.
Are Dodgers back in first?
They're back in first by a game and a half, okay. Yeah. The Cubs are starting to pull away in probably the worst division in baseball. The worst division in baseball went from the AL Central to probably the NL Central.
Yeah, maybe. Speaking of the NL Central, the Pirates today, I don't know if you saw that.
Fired Derek Shelton.
Yeah.
That kind of felt long overdue.
Yeah.
I think they thought he was going to lead the resurgence, and he did not do that. So, unfortunately. The Rockies are still sitting at 6 wins.
After winning 2 games in a row.
I just feel so bad for them. This is just, it's...
But guess what? They have a great fan base. They play at a beautiful ballpark. So it could be worse.
It's awful, though. It's awful. The baseball is awful. But in good news, a former bowling teammate of mine that played for Waxahachie Baseball is tearing it up in high A for them right now.
Good. Hopefully he can...
Jared Thomas was first baseman for Texas. Got drafted in the 2nd round by them. So hopefully he can lead the team to a World Series championship.
Yeah,
I can say I know a World Series champion. But
everybody wants to see the Rockies be successful. So
yeah, it's better. Baseball's better when a team like the Rockies are winning because their fan base is great. Now we move to our final sport of the day to talk about, which is football. What?
I'm excited to talk about the Cowboys for once.
I know for once we're not going to come on here and you don't need to cue the Meet the Grams beat for me to talk about Jerry. They did something, Chase, and I'm working and I'm looking at Twitter and I just see from somebody that was just like there was this I think it was Foots to King was like hey I didn't win the battle but I'm about to win the war when it comes to receiver. We're all like what? And then, somebody that it's really funny. Other insiders hate this guy because I think they look at him as somebody who thinks he's more important than he is, and that's Slick Rick on Twitter. But dude calls stuff. Dude has a pretty good hit rate for someone that's not affiliated with like ESPN or NFL Network. And he dropped a hint. It was George Costanza leaving, and it was like something's big brewing. And George Costanza. That was the hint.
When I first, obviously we were talking about it and we saw that, the reports from, the non-official accounts.
I'm texting you
right.
Because I said, hey, we might getting Pickens. And your reaction was, what? where are you seeing that? And I sent you like 5 screenshots. Like, here's all the things I'm tracking.
I didn't see anything from Schefter, from Myrove, from Rappaport. I mean, you want to see some sort of signs from these 3 guys who are the big ones.
Or Schultz.
Or Schultz, right? Or Dove Kleiman. Never mind. Do not take that.
Chase, I'm gonna have to kick you off the show. You're fired. I'm muting your mic. Anyway, his mic is now muted. But no, it was sounding like something that was, and then Nick Harris came in and rained on all of our parade. Nick Harris, the Fort Worth Star Telegram, said, "Guys, it's not happening." And like a couple hours later, went, "Can I retract that statement?" He had like a really funny gif where it was like, "Guys, I was joking." Ha, 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 ha.
Well, where I thought to really believe it was when, CD on Twitter,
CD
just posted Ralph from The Simpsons just waving. I didn't know if it meant anything, and then you saw the comments saying Pickens, ? Pickens.
And it just, the chatter built and built and built, and then Rick came in and said, "It is expected to be announced tomorrow, George Pickens to the Dallas Cowboys." And we're all like, okay, I trust him, but I want to make sure that it's from a verified source before I really run with this thing.
Right.
And then I woke up, obviously, to George Pickens being traded to the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not mad at the value, because if he leaves and signs a big money deal,
we get a third back.
You might get a third round pick as a comp back.
Yeah.
So guess what? You pick swapped. A worst case scenario, you pick swapped. So,
but hopefully they'll be able to find a way to, I don't know how they're gonna be able to afford him, if they're gonna be paying Micah soon.
Look, and the thing with Pickens is, look, he's an interesting individual.
Great receiver.
He is a diva. He obviously had, Jordan Lewis had the really funny tweet where he was like, "God really wanted me in Jacksonville," when he pulled. Although I do think, Chase, could you imagine in training camp in Oxnard the battles between George Pickens and Jordan Lewis? There'd be fights. Like after one rep, there'd be just a fist fight. I'm very excited to have his talent on the roster. I think you have a true number one. I want to start calling them Batman and Joker, because Ben Pickens being Joker. That's what I want to start calling them. But I don't know if that's going to be coined or not.
Something will be thrown out there, but it just feels like a fever dream. Like this is the best, and I can say this for you too, because it's for me. This is the best ownership that I have seen Jerry take in my entire lifetime, where he goes into a draft with a lot of picks and fills all the positional needs that we need and that we lacked. Then he goes out after not drafting a receiver who everyone know we needed one.
Well, then he didn't fill the position needs.
But he knew what he was doing. He was doing this because he knew he was going to make a trade for something.
I think a better way of saying it, to amend your statement, sorry for that, is instead of forcing team needs in the draft, they drafted good football players at every pick. And obviously, Jaden Blue was a need. Well, of course. But, you're going to draft guys eventually. You're going to hit one of your needs. They drafted guys that they trusted their board. They didn't force anything. They didn't trade up. They didn't trade down. They acquired 3 great football players on days 1 and 2, and then went out and got a lot of very interesting people and players on day 3.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I think is so key about the Cowboys, is that they acquired players that they felt could help their team at different positions. They didn't force needs. They didn't force a receiver in the first. They didn't force one in the second or the third. They didn't force it. They trusted the board, and they took the guys they liked. And then obviously they were cooking up George Pickens. I love the value. Hopefully he doesn't cause problems here. But, the Cowboys have a history. Guys like Terrell Owens. Guys like, I don't want to call Des Bryant a diva, but he was definitely had some mood swings. Which can be a good thing. If you're winning, you want a guy like George Pickens because he channels that competitiveness. It only, hits a bad spot when you're losing. And we've seen that with Pickens. When they're winning, he's great. He's no problem because winning cures everything. But when they're losing, he pulls guys' mouth guards, or he, gets stupid penalties, or he does stupid crap.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can do a lot more winning than losing with him. I really think you went from a 7. My dad asked me, and I said, I'll sum it up like this. You went from a 7 to 8 win team to a 10 to 11 win team like that.
I'm excited for the season. And that's,
we were not excited.
Last year
the draft.
was just, and even before the draft, it was like, and even after the draft, where they drafted good players, but there was like, look, it's Dak and CD again as the entire offense.
Well, Ferguson's there.
Right, but you know what I mean.
Fergie's there. Don't sleep on Fergie.
Okay, you know what I mean.
Fergie's best when he's a third option.
Right.
I agree.
And Dak, he has shown that when he put multiple weapons around him, he is a great quarterback. And Pickens, who hasn't even had a quarterback in his 4-year career, right?
Yeah. Somebody
has had Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, Justin Fields, and Russell Wilson. Did he play with Big Ben one year? Did he play with Ben?
I don't think so, no.
I think Kenny Pickett was his rookie year as well.
Keep talking. I'll look it up.
Or no, because Pickens was a first-round pick, right?
No, he wasn't.
Was he later?
That's why we can't pick up his 5th-year option.
Was he second-year pick? Was he second-round pick?
He was second-round pick, yeah.
Okay. I think he played with Kenny Pickett as his first year, but he hasn't had a quarterback, and he's still been producing great numbers and a lot of flashes. And now that he's here, it makes me really excited for the season because there's other guys. We have one of the best vertical threats in the league, and statistically that is true since Pickens, I believe, was second in yardage on deep threat and vertical threats on vertical routes last year. And it just, the way that Dak plays, he loves to throw those. You don't want to really say it hospital balls, but only balls where the receiver could get or it's incomplete. And Pickens is a great target for Dak, and it opens up even more for CD underneath and in the middle. I'm just really, really looking forward to this team coming up. And I just hope, obviously everybody stays healthy. That is the motto. You want everybody to stay healthy no matter who it is for any team. You never like seeing injuries, but for your own team, you want to see guys stay healthy. And I really do think this team it's a playoff team. It is a playoff team if everybody's healthy. I like what they did with the defense and the offensive line and the running back.
Your run defense may still have some potential.
There's some problems there. And look, Jerry might not be done. Remember, he did say
2 trades.
That there were 2 pretty substantial trades that he was cooking up. And look,
here we go.
Let me finish my point before you get there. I don't like believing Jerry because he hasn't ever followed through, but he did.
What I thought.
So there might be one more coming.
Pickens was the 2022 draft. Roethlisberger's last year was 2021.
Okay, so he was picking.
Here is George Pickens' last several quarterbacks going back to his college days. 2019, Jake Fromm. 2020, JT Daniels, or JT Daniel, whichever one it is. 2021, Stetson Bennett for 4 games. 2022, Kenny Pickett. 2023, Kenny Pickett. 2024, Russell Wilson plus Justin Fields. Those are the starting quarterbacks.
Okay, so I guess he never had Rudolph.
I think he may have had Rudolph at some point.
He must have had him.
Yeah. But now this is without a doubt the best quarterback he's going to have a chance to play with. Yeah. So,
and hopefully he likes it here. And hopefully
sometimes he has problems when he doesn't get the ball. He causes issues because I'm not getting the ball. I think as long as he comes in and understands, you are the number 2.
I think he knows.
I know that. But I've been around football players, and I know that sometimes, even when everyone else can see they're not the number 1 guy, obviously you think you are. And so ask Donnell, right? He'll tell you. Obviously, everyone thinks that they're the best. And so that can cause some issues when hopefully he does have the awareness that, look, I'm playing with CD Lamb, I'm playing with a top 5 receiver. I'm a top probably 15 receiver, right? But he's a top 5 receiver. But, those 2 together is just cooking. And then you have where I think Jalen Tolbert is not a bad third receiver. He's a bad second receiver.
But you also got guys like Turpin, and you hope Turpin. Turpin.
Well, Holden was we signed your coach, so we'll take a flyer on you. I don't expect him to be much. You got you're gonna have 7 guys battling out for the last 2 spots at receiver because obviously Turpin's gonna be one of those, right? So you have 2 open spots for guys like Ryan Flanoy. Hopefully Jalen Brooks gets cut. Jalen Tolbert, Jonathan Mingo. Obviously, it'll probably be Mingo and Tolbert. Probably be the other 2 guys, and those 2 as third options. Not terrible.
Sure.
I don't hate those guys as third receivers.
I just think that with, they might not have to rely on them so much because if
that's the key.
Ferguson's your third guy.
I'm talking about receiver depth chart.
But
tight ends are not.
But I could see them running a set, of CD on one side, Pickens on the other, and Turpin in the slot.
Yeah,
that's awesome. You got a speed threat with Turpin. You got obviously an all-around, all-pro receiver in CD, and Pickens one of the best vertical threats in the league. You have so many.
We've seen what Dak can do with a guy like Michael. And I don't want to call George Pickens Michael Gallup because he's better than Gallup was. He's better with the ball in his hands, but when he's on those 50-50 balls, on those vertical plays, That's what we have missed in our offense. Dak loves just throwing it to a receiver that can go up and get it. He loved doing it with Michael Gallup. We haven't had that in a while now because Gallup got hurt and whatever. So now I think having that guy that you can go and win some contested catches and just put it in Pickens, put it in his area code. Just put it kind of where he is on the field. He'll go get it. I think him being a second option is definitely going to be. I mean, he's going to look great because teams if they focus on CD, here George, 1-on-1, go get it. If they focus on George, hey, CD Lamb's over here, And if they focus on both of them, Turpin, Mingo, Ferguson, Jaden Blue, we got all these guys now that are. Hey, look, we got weapons.
And then you draft O-line and
now you have. That's just why you draft offensive line in the first round, Chase.
Yeah.
Do you see?
No, I wasn't disappointed with the pick.
I know.
I told you I wanted to trade back and get him.
I understand it now. I'm a visionary.
Look, if I
no,
knew...
you don't understand. I am a genius, Chase. I am the smartest human being to ever live because I said this early in the draft process when you were, and I'm picking on you because you're here. You were like, I want Genty. I'm like, Genty's great, but you could use offensive line.
If Genty fell to 12,
obviously, my point is,
yes,
I was on the train early. If we go O-line, there is no reason to be mad at it. Okay, they did the thing. It looks great now. Now you've got 5 solid stars on your offensive line.
No, if I knew that they were going to trade for Pickens or any Pro Bowl receiver after the draft, then yeah, go trenches. Yes.
This is what good teams do. Good teams use draft capital.
Yeah, it feels weird
to trade.
It feels weird
for good other good players and other teams. Now, of course, Pickens was a guy, and again, he fits them. I've talked about this for years now. Jerry likes a certain mold. When they acquire other teams' players, free agency or trades, the first thing we always look at is, oh, well, this was a guy they liked in the draft. It typically, when we acquire guys from outside our building, they are guys that we liked in the draft. Or they're guys that our coaches have familiarity with. Those are the only two types of guys that we bring in. And Pickens, I remember they loved Pickens. In fact, they may have taken him over Schoonmaker in 22.
Wait a minute. Pickens went before Schoon, right?
Wait, no.
Did they take Schoonmaker over Pickens?
No. 2022. Time out. No. Never mind. 2022 was Sam Williams. My bad.
Right.
Maybe.
Which, I wonder his situation. Because can they pay him? I mean,
well, he's in hurt, so what's he gonna? Well, he can't command anything.
Well, I mean, with Pickens, do you think Jerry is confident that he can keep him here?
Honestly, I don't think they're worried about that. I think they're worried about trying to give this roster a chance to win this year. Look, I'm okay with trying to operate year to year, but if you operate year to year, you have to acquire good players year to year. The Cowboys haven't done that. I think now this is a 2025 move. If you can keep him for 26 and beyond, cool. If you can't, you get a comp pick back. We regroup next year.
Then you have to draft a receiver.
And then you draft. But see, now you've drafted off your offensive line. They're young. There's no more veterans on this. Maybe Steele. But there's no more true old vets on this team. No offense to Zach Martin or Tyron Smith or any of those guys. You have a young offensive line that now you can not look at that position in the first round for the next several years. Hopefully. That's the hope.
Right.
That you can not look for offensive line in the first round for the next several years. You've built it back up.
That's the right tackle.
Maybe. But maybe you can find one of those guys in a second. I'm just saying that maybe now you're able to go receiver next year. I'm trying to think of some guys that I would like, but none are springing to mind that would be available. It's going to be interesting.
Trade up for Jeremiah Smith.
In 2 years?
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I love Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams. You look at that 2027 draft class, Chase, it has the potential to be Arch Manning, Ryan Williams, and Jeremiah Smith at the top.
Whew.
That's insane.
Congrats on your futures to those three teams.
And I mean, here's the thing. Those guys still have 2 more. Chase, we're blessed. We get to watch those guys play in college for 2 more years.
Yeah.
2 more years. I know we should draft Nick Harbor in a few years.
I like that too.
NCAA legend. Yeah, NCAA college football 25 legend. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for this episode. The Cowboys, I mean, again, we're hitting that dead spot in football. But, hey, the Cowboys, even though we're in that spot in football where the schedule release is the biggest piece of news, the Cowboys giving the NFL people something to talk about. I love the fit with Dak. I love the fit in the offense. I love the fit next to CeeDee. I almost said Zeke. I love the fit next to CeeDee Lamb. This instantly became one of the best receiving duos in the league. And hopefully we get to see this team play full 17 games healthy, because this team we're still not better than the Eagles, unfortunately. However, I think we could be better than the Commanders. It's possible. I'm not saying we are. I'm saying that before, I felt like the NFC East was pretty solid. It was Eagles, Commanders, Cowboys, Giants, in that order. Now, I think the Cowboys can seriously contend for that second spot in the NFC East. Which, looking at how good the NFC North is, you may not be able to get to the playoffs. You may not be able to get to the playoffs as the third team in this division.
Yeah.
With teams like the Packers, Lions, Vikings, and Bears, I think all vying for playoff spots in the NFC North. The NFC South is obviously very weak. Probably going to be the Buccaneers coming out of the division again, but maybe the Falcons. You've got two teams in that division that can contend. And then you go out west, the Rams can, obviously with McVay and Stafford, can contend. The Seahawks can contend. The NFC has really gotten better the last couple years, and unfortunately the Cowboys are not going to benefit from a weaker NFC. We obviously knew the AFC was a stronger conference. Now, the NFC's gotten some depth. And so we're going to see what happens. Obviously, the Eagles are still the king.
Yeah.
They're still better than us. We're not a better team than them. Can we beat them? Sure, we can beat them. Because when we're able to force Jalen Hurts, if you can force Hurts into some mistakes, you can beat the Eagles. Are beatable. I actually think that's how you attack the Eagles. Don't try to stop Saquon. Attack the quarterback. If you can attack Hurts, you can stop the entire offense. And obviously, we'll see how they are without Kellen Moore. How they're with new offense and all that. But I like what the Cowboys did here. I think they have their offseason now looks significantly better because you have a quality. We added a bunch of quantity before the draft. Now let's say they go out and trade for, I'm going to throw this name out there.
I heard Breece Hall a lot.
Well, let's say they don't go running back. Let's say they go defensive tackle.
I would be happy with that too.
I'm going to throw a name out there that I've heard Cowboys people want. Grover Stewart from the Colts. You go out and get, so that means before the draft you went quantity over quality. And after the draft you acquired two players that went quality over quantity. I like that. That's great. That's fantastic. We're feeling a lot more confident about this team going into the end of the season. I'm still a bit worried about the run defense. And I'm still a little bit worried about the corner core because you have one guy coming off knee. You have two guys coming off knee injuries. One of them is his second one. And then you have Bland, who is really good when he's getting interceptions, but at times can be burned. And then Kalen Carson, who got hurt last year and is a second-year guy. So a little nervous about that. And Kyer Elam, who was burnt toast in Buffalo, and maybe he's not here, but hopefully we'll see. I like what they did. I'm excited for the season. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been another great semester. This has been the 5th semester we've been doing this show.
Crazy.
Time really flies when you're not having fun. I mean, I'm joking, of course. Obviously we're hoping that Chase is back next semester.
Yeah. I'll be in and out of then because, my situation is like I'm done with classes, but I just got to take my internship to officially graduate in December. So obviously I won't be living up here anymore, but I'll be able to, be up here pretty consistently.
We'll find a day to maybe we'll find a day to record, time and day to record. Yeah. Sometime in the middle of the week, obviously for football purposes. Unfortunately, that's the thing is we can only really record Tuesdays, Wednesdays next semester. Yeah. Because football being I'd love to be able to record on Thursday, but it won't get out in time for Thursday Night Football.
Right.
We'll figure that out later. But thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast this year. Again, this semester we will probably have a couple episodes, maybe just me, maybe just him, maybe the both of us. Maybe we bring on a couple of our friends. We'll see during the summer. We may get no episodes in. I'm not promising anything. I'm just saying that we definitely are going to try. Thank you for listening, and we will see you guys at least next semester, but maybe over the summer.
Have a good summer.
Yep.